Hello, and welcome. Welcome once again to The Secrets of the High Demand Coach. And I am here with yet another high demand coach. It is the one and only Anna Urnova. She's an award-winning career coach, and she helps mid-career professional men break free from being stuck, feeling undervalued, and burning out in unfulfilling jobs by empowering them to pivot successfully and thrive without having to start all over. Getting her business up and running took a lot of trial and error, but still, thanks to her commitment in the career transition method that she's developed, she fully recovered from her losses and even tripled her investments in just 3 years. Now, the same colleagues who initially doubted her decision to start her own business come asking her for advice on taking their careers away from their 9-to-5. So, Anna, I'm really excited to have you here. In my book that was written for founders, I actually start, the very first stage is what I call the dissatisfied employee. There's this kind of moment that folks reach, and it might be a dissatisfied student, but there's this level of dissatisfaction that builds up. And I heard so much of that in your intro, and as I was researching the site, watching the webinars that you've put together. But I want to dive into this a little bit and really take a look at why is it, so particularly men, particularly kind of mid-career, why is it that so many men feel stuck in their career?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Scott, first of all, thank you for having me on your show. I'm really excited to speak to your audience. And yes, why mid-career is often the point where not just men, all of us find ourselves dissatisfied with being an employee, having a boss, following someone else's guideline, right? Building and growing someone else's business. And we are thinking of maybe we want to, have our own thing. Well, actually, there's a big body of work and research about mid-career and midlife, basically what happens to people in midlife. But to cut it short, I would say that in midlife, it's about actually releasing the expectations that we're carrying so far, or having fulfilled them, releasing them, and becoming our own man, our own woman, our own person. And this is becoming your own man, right? This is often why people want to run their own project or their own business, right? So this is the short answer, so to say. And of course, this is what people are missing often in, corporate environment, for instance. Like a lot of my clients come from there, or working for someone else, because it's never your own, right? No matter how hard you work, you're always working for someone else. You're always a part of their system, their agenda, and all that comes with it.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'll use to kind of help people kind of determine, am I just frustrated with my job, or am I kind of a pre-founder in the making, is to try something else, right? Try another job. Right? If you have a really lousy boss, that's not a midlife crisis. That's just a really lousy boss, right? Or if you're in a company that doesn't really, that's not a culture fit, or if you are in a job that's just not challenging you anymore, sometimes the route is a more challenging job. And I think what we're searching for in that is this idea of fulfillment, right? Getting something, where we're not showing up just for a paycheck, but we're showing up for work that actually matters. Do you have to start your own thing to have your own thing? Do you have to be an entrepreneur to achieve that?
Well, I believe there are many different ways to start your own thing. Entrepreneurship is one of the areas, which is, the one we know a lot about, but there are many others. And I believe the past maybe decade, and especially maybe last 5 years, made a whole range of options available to people that don't just fit very neatly into either you're employed or you're entrepreneur or a founder. There, like the whole spectrum has opened, where people are self-employed or freelancers or running their own projects on the side, which is now a big thing, by the way. And many other things where people are running their own thing. I think that's like my own thing is important. How it looks like, it's less important, but it is important. And really feeling, especially what I find with my audience, with my clients, is that the feeling that you're building your own legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that's has your name written on it, so to say, literally or just like you feel that there's your name on it.
Yeah. One of the really scary things about that is many times it feels like we have to start over to do it. right? It feels like even just going to a new job, there's a lot of just kind of hitting reset. And in many ways, it's kind of what we're looking for, but it can also be really scary. Do you have to start over? Is that fear founded? How do you help folks really walk that out?
Well, I believe this whole starting over thing is a myth. It's not true. It's a fallacy, really, and a lot of people are repeating this fallacy because there's an idea that there's one way to build a career, and when we are midlife, let's say 35, 55 roughly, like so around 40 years of age, plus minus, right? We've already had we've already climbed the ladder, right? We've already had, and my clients had 20, 25 years of experience. And we built it a certain way. There was a choice, there was an education, then there was the work experience and all, the climbing and the failures and the wins and, the gray hair and everything, right? And when we think about the next career, a lot of people assume that it's the same way as you built this. So back to zero and they start, from there. And it's not like that at all. Because at midlife, what really matters is your experience. And it never goes back to zero, right? So, and the trick here is to think differently. And what I often suggest is a kind of visual metaphor, so to say. Imagine that you build something from the Lego pieces, the game we all play with kids and Lego, right? And in order to build something new, you need to deconstruct it first, right? And then you collect something new. So imagine our career is we collection all these Lego pieces and we build something, let's say, I don't know, a logistics manager or head of logistics department, right? And it looks a certain way. But then we don't just get rid of all the pieces and start buy a new set. No, we just deconstruct it and we have all these pieces that actually are skill sets, pieces of experience, successful projects, already important parts of who you are, of your identity. And then we just put them together in a different way. So it's never back to zero. They don't disappear. It's just about being creative and applying them in a new way.
Yeah.
And so I believe this back to zero thing is a myth and it's not true. You're building on what you have. You have the opportunity of building on what you have. You never lose it. In fact, what I also find with my clients is it's also important to integrate the personal aspect, because a lot of my clients find that in corporate, for instance, they're only using part of who they are, and they may be disregarding the personal identity. They may be disregarding parts of their passion, stuff like that. So at midlife, you can use what you've acquired already and build in your career, but you also can integrate those other pieces that often somehow either kept in the shadow or they they're not seen as useful. But now you can integrate. So actually, it's not even from zero. It's even more than maybe what you acquired so far in your corporate. So it could be a much richer, fuller, whole experience, so to say.
That's so true. And I've seen that play out so many times. I couldn't agree more. I've got an interesting question for you. There's a question I've identified, and there's a question that you've identified that I think a lot of people would mistake as the same, but I think they're different. And so a lot of folks that are facing this kind of midlife crisis, this dissatisfied employee stage, you've very accurately identified are asking the question, isn't there more, right? Isn't there more to this? And what I've found in very successful founders, years after they've started, if we look back at this stage for them, they ask a slightly different question, not always, but most of the time. And that is, isn't there a better way? Right. And so one of the things that I've seen about founders who succeed is that it's not just about more, even though that's a huge, huge part of it. It's a very specific version of that of, isn't there a better way to whatever? Now, that might be a better way to treat your employees, a better way of, building widgets, a better way of selling widgets, a better way of course, there's lots of different reasons why founders are passionate about what they do. But there's this kind of essential passion about what you do. Have you found that to be true in those that are kind of wrestling with this more strategy that end up starting their own business, nonprofit, or whatever it may be?
Yeah, I love this reframe about, is there a better way? Because I believe when we ask, is there more, we talk more about the emotional side of things and sometimes the financial side of things. That's what I found. More than there's more fun to be had. There's more freedom to be had. There's more maybe free time. There is more happiness, the more satisfaction, right? It's not about doing more. So it's really about a better way, because rather than maybe spending 80% doing something boring and that you don't like, you can actually channel your energy and spend less time doing, but it will be more productive because you're doing what you're really good at, what you're enjoying. And as a result, you get a better return on your investment, so to say, right? So yeah, I absolutely love it. So I do think that is there a better way is a very good way of putting it, right? So is there a better way to be who you really are and use all your skills and abilities to achieve what you really want? That's the thing as well. Many people, as you say, but I believe generally, when we say midlife crisis, it's a little bit an old-fashioned term. It does mean dissatisfaction, but in the old way, it always meant it's almost like something wrong with you, right? Where I believe it's a call, it's a wake-up call that says, man, there's more available to you right now. There's an opportunity right now, and as you said, to do things better.
Yeah.
And think, what do you really want? What kind of legacy do you want? Because if you continue going the way you're going, even if you're doing a successful job and you won't be made redundant and all that, right? You are building someone else's legacy. And so when you're 65 or 70, you might be disappointed because you didn't have time to actually build what you wanted, right?
Yeah.
So that's the call that just says, hey, man, there's a fork on the road. And there's an opportunity now, which is good news, right? To actually go somewhere where you'd be a much happier man, more fulfilled, and potentially will have a better income as well, right?
Yeah.
Because you will, as you say, you will use your resources in a better way, right?
Yeah. So
I believe that's what the crisis, so-called, the midlife year, mid-career is about. And there's a new opportunity of upgrade, as I call it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. What a way to reframe it. So, Anna, there's a question I like to ask all my guests, and I'm gonna throw it your way as well. And that is, what is the biggest secret you wish wasn't a secret at all? What's that one thing you wish everybody watching or listening today knew?
Yeah. Well, Scott, I've been thinking about it really, and what I believe I wish I known when I decided to go on my own was that the really key to success, the way I see it, especially as an entrepreneur, as a running successful coaching business, is actually in simplify and specialize. Because what I found is that a lot of people, for instance, when they, especially like we just discussed, they're thinking, okay, I want to have my own thing. They think they need to know more. For instance, coaches, they want, to be, add more complexity, maybe, solve more complex problems. But it's actually, the more you specialize on solving a particular problem, it could be a complex problem. Like, for instance, this midlife dissatisfaction, mid-career change is a complex problem. Yeah. But as long as you specialize and you do just that, it's really much easier, so to say, to success. It's still, a rough ride, so to say, but you have a higher chance of succeeding rather than when you're trying to have a broader experience. I think that's what I'm trying to say. The broadness is actually a way to just be distracted and overwhelmed. And I really wish I'd known it when I just was starting or even thinking about it, because I always thought that the broader you experience, then, the more the more problems you can solve, the more different clients you can satisfy, the better. Well, it actually turns out that I don't know if it's your experience as well, Scott, but that's what I found. And I wish someone just told me. And it's like you said, it's about better way of doing things, isn't it? It's a better way and it's simpler. And the more you simplify, that's the way to master it, because then you have your own 10,000 hours and you kind of, you're just doing that thing over and over and over again. And that's where you actually become, the best at it.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. Anna, there's folks listening to this and they're just there. They feel stuck, but they're feeling something that they haven't felt in a while, and that's hope, right? Hope that there's another way. But they know they're at the fork in the road and they want someone to help them walk them through. How can they find out more about you and the work that you do and connect with you?
Well, the easiest way to find me is my website, which is my name, annaurnova.com. And there, what I recommend, if you go there, well, first of all, you can read about what I do and see, does it resonate? Do you recognize, the profile of my clients? And then the easiest way is there is a free training there, and you just can go there. And that's my masterclass where I summarized the essence of what I do. And I also summarized the so-called 5 steps or 5 shifts of successful mid-career change. I explain what the mid-career is about and explain the signs and symptoms of crisis, where, again, you can see if it resonates or not. And then I outline the exactly 5 steps I'm helping my clients to make, right? And if you, for instance, you read it all, you listened to it all, and you're just overwhelmed, you don't know how to apply the steps, because some people just able to apply them and they then call me and they say that they're happy. Great. But if you struggle, then you also can get in touch with me. You can even book a free call. If you qualify, I specified in the masterclass, and we can speak. And there's a 45 minutes, basically free, very high impact coaching call. And a lot of people find it very helpful to, get clarity about where they need to go next.
Fantastic. That's so good. Well, Anna, I just appreciate you being on the show. Just an honor and privilege having you here today. What a fun conversation. And for those of you watching and listening, you know your time and attention mean the world to us. I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I know I did, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Take care.